So this is a quick video to explain one of our most popular types of tuition, and that is 11 plus. So often parents will comment on Facebook. As we know, I'm quite active in some of the 11 plus groups, or indeed on some of the Find a Tutor groups. They're often contacting us looking for 11 plus tutors. And so I thought I'd do this video just to explain a little bit more about what the 11 plus is, why people might be interested in it, what it can be confused with, and a little bit about where to go for information. So the 11 plus is an exam that is taken at the start of year 6 for students. So this is when they are around 10. It's used to enter secondary school. And the 11 plus traditionally is known to enter a state grammar school. And there's actually very few state grammars in the UK. I would like to, just going to show you a little map. State grammar schools. And if we go, here we are, here's a map. Talks us through how many grammar schools there are. There's not actually that many. This is the only areas that they are in the UK. So very, very few, but a highly competitive exam. It allows students to access very academic schools that are not fee paying. So that is the 11 plus. The 11 plus is that exam that they take. Traditionally, they will take it in September. This year, because of COVID, it's been moved. But usually, if you're listening to this and it is a couple of years later, this year was the 2020, so year of COVID. But we would expect that it will go back to September next year. And the 11 plus exam, as it's known, consists of four specific areas. And dependent on where the exam takes place, it might not be all four of those areas. It might only be two of those examinable areas. It might be more. So the schools sit in what's called a consortium. So the consortiums for 11 plus are linked on area, 11 plus consortium, here we are. And the consortium often looks after it controls what exams there might be. It talks about it looks at it might be a collection of schools basically. So there's something called the London Consortium. London Consortium takes CAT exams, or for example, if you look at some of the 11 plus in Essex, you will find that 11 pluses in Essex do CSSE. There's loads of different acronyms. So if somebody is coming to us and asking for 11 plus, we will ask them, we should ask them what area they're based in or what area they're looking to apply. We should ask them what schools they're looking to apply for. And then we should ask them if they know which consortium. And the common ones are GL, CSSE, CEM. So those are the three big kind of exams. Now, often they won't know, if they're first of all coming to us, what types of exams there might be. And sometimes they might say to you, oh, we're applying for X school. So I wanted to introduce you to this. It's called Exam Papers Plus. And I've got it up on a school, Wilson's, which is a very popular school that we get. And this has all the information that you might need on it. So as we scroll down, it tells us a little bit about Wilson's, blah, 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 blah. We don't really care mostly about this, but we do care about this. So they take in September, the first part, which is a SET test, selective legibility test, which probably means that it's done themselves. Selective, here we are, SET part 1. Talks about also catchment area. Now, a catchment area is a bit like those areas I showed you on the map. And if a parent doesn't live in a catchment area, that means that for some schools, it won't be worth them applying. It really depends on the individual school. It's something that I would deal with and not something as a sales agent that you would look at. So you would ask them what school, and you can always look this up online about what exams they have. And you can also ask them what area, or you can ask them what style of exam. So those would be the big things. Now, often parents really, really like to know a lot more about what we do with the 11 plus. And so if you are on the phone to somebody, or you are speaking to somebody on emails, the other places that might be useful is this one. So again, I've just brought it up on the same thing. If they're looking for recommended 11 plus books, we can just go here. If they're looking for, here's all the schools. So they're looking for a specific school. They said that we're based in Lincolnshire, and therefore we're looking for grammar schools in that area. Well, these are all the schools. So then you can ask them which actually of these is the one that you're looking at. So we can see a lot more on this website if that's where we're wanting to go. And you can also see that they put down the 11 plus subjects. They put some recommendations down there. There's all of our versions. And the exams that you can take would be math, English, verbal, non-verbal. Some schools will do their own spelling or creative writing tests. Often spelling is within English, often creative writing is within English. But math, English, verbal, non-verbal, those are the 4 main areas. If they are looking for, again, more information, or you're wanting more information, again, here is a good one, 11 plus exams, Head for Success. And this can give you, again, example reading lists or, useful resources, which we can then give back to clients. And then if they're looking for some advice on schools or something, this might be the Good Schools Guide. So again, they give a little bit of information. Now, the 11 plus can also mean 11 plus independence, and that's none of this stuff. So an 11 plus independent is set by the school, or it looks at something called ISEB, ISEB. And if they say that they are looking for a school that is testing according to ISEB, this is the website that we would like. Again, it's still maths, English, verbal, non-verbal, or some of those versions. So some schools will do English, maths, and verbal, or some schools might do only English, math, or some might do English and a non-verbal. So that's it is dependent on the school. It's why we try and get the most information about the school. So if they're looking for ISEB, ISEB is almost always independent, and you're looking at common entrance at 11. Now we've got a big list of schools that use that. This is actually changing this year because a large amount of schools have decided that they're going to add this list, but this is the current list. Some of them do a pre-test. A pre-test is when you're in year 6 or 7. Again, it's exactly the same kind of idea, but this is verbal and non-verbal English and maths on the computer. So whenever we're talking 11 plus or we're talking pre-test, these are all the schools, then you are looking at English, math, verbal, non-verbal. So typical questions that parents will ask, they are looking at where have our tutors got students into before. And what we would say when we're looking at something online is we give an idea of who we've gotten in, and I wouldn't try and put it to each person unless they're specifically asking, what has that tutor got, and we can find out a little bit more. Here's some of our 11 plus tutors, some of the bits on it. This is our specialist 11 plus page. Here is a couple of schools. Note, most of these are independent. They're not the grammars. This is our specific 11 plus page. I think we've actually got 2 of them. No, okay, I thought we had 2 for some reason. So they might want to know, where have we got students into? And that's a fine question. What you need to do is just come to me and ask. We are going to, I'm going to try and see if I can find out a way of collating all the schools we've got people into. But until then, come to me and ask. So if they're on the phone, just say to them, I know that there's a large number of schools, and I'd have to just refer to the director at that point. If obviously it's on email, just send me a picture through on WhatsApp, and I can see whether we've got them into that specific school. They often want to know if we have a math and English tutor. Now, we take the the view that it is best to get a subject specialist when we're talking 11 plus. 11 plus is very competitive. In fact, there are some 11 pluses that are called super selectives. I'll talk about those in a moment. But because the 11 plus is such a selective exam, we prefer to put them with a math and then an English tutor. And that is a lot. So some of them do try and look for ones that would do both. And we would say to them that it's not our major recommendation. We do recommend that they take split tutors, but after all, that is their choice. So if they decide that they do want to find somebody who can do both maths and English, that is something we can do, but they're not getting that absolute specialist. And we're known for providing specialists. Sometimes they would have taken the grammar 11 plus, which is the one that's in September, currently delayed until October, November, and they don't score high enough because the 11 plus is given a score. They might be applying for these really competitive schools. And if they don't score high enough, often they will come to us and they are looking to then take the 11 plus at an independent school. Now, an independent school has a lot more comprehension and it has longer English answers. So instead of most of the 11 pluses are multiple choice, the 11 plus for independence is a longer answer question. So this might be a question that's a 3 or 4 mark question that they have to write for. And lots of the students haven't prepared for that. So often we get parents who, lots of the students haven't prepared. So often we get parents who are looking for specific independent school English tutors. Again, some of the independent schools and some of the grammar schools have an interview process or a second stage. And so if they get invited to that second stage or that interview process, then they might look for their child to be interviewed. And a unique thing that we put forward for our interview, we say that we never follow a script because it makes the child sound robotic, and it means that they will have a more difficult interview. But what we like to do is we like to put a tutor in front of them and we like to practice some interviews, and then we give them a different tutor, and that different tutor does like a mock interview. Sometimes I do it. If they want me to do it, then that has to be booked with me, and that's £100. Whereas if they want just a separate tutor to come in, that's just the same as our standard rate, which is currently in 2020, it is £55 for online. So that covers 11 plus, which is maths, English, verbal reasoning, non-verbal reasoning, of which there are bits and changes. It covers where the 11 plus is. They take it when they're around 10 in year 6, looking to move to secondary school, and only within certain areas. It covers the idea of a catchment. So a catchment is that distance of how far you have to live. Often you'll see parents refer to whether they are in catchment or out of catchment. And we don't really worry about it unless they're asking for advice, in which case you can come straight to me and I can chat with them. We've covered the difference between 11 plus that is state and 11 plus that is independent, and also why some parents might do both. Often parents will want to know whether we follow a syllabus for 11 plus. We don't. What we say to them is that because it is bespoke to each child, what we do is we will run some exams or run some questions with the child, identify where their areas are, teach those areas of weakness, and then we will do the same thing again. So we aren't just putting books in front of them. It's something that they see at quite a lot of other classes or other individual tutors, which is where they'll put a book in front of them, they'll get them to do the exercises, then they'll mark it. We don't really do that. Instead, we will find out their areas of weakness. We will then teach that, which quite often doesn't happen in 11 plus. So we do active teaching, and then we will review. Sometimes parents ask us if we run 11 plus classes. Again, currently, in October 2020, we do not. We believe in a one-to-one model. A one-to-one model means that it is more specialized to that child. It's bespoke. It is something that it focuses purely on that child and on that child's goals. That said, if 3 or 4 parents would like to team up, and would like us to tutor their child because they're all applying for the same exam or they're all at the same point, then that is something that we can arrange with them, but it's going to be uniquely priced and it's going to have to be discussed through me. So there are a couple of bits where you'll need to come back to me, and that's absolutely fine. We've covered interview and why a child might need an interview when they're 10 or 11. And we've covered the idea that the 11 plus is a very competitive exam. Now, there is something called the super selective grammar schools. It's a term that gets bandied around. So this is a little bit about it. Often a super selective is one where, here we are, they don't have a pass mark. So there's no pass mark, there's no catchment area, there's no sibling entitlement, which sometimes there is in schools. So that might mean that if your brother went there, then you will also go there, or you might have to get less of a score. And these super selectives are really, really competitive. So they need to do so much better if they're applying for a super selective, and a super selective doesn't have a catchment, which could mean that we have parents who are sending their children quite a long way away because it is a super selective school. Okay. So hopefully that gives us a bit of a taste about 11 plus, and I'm going to upload this so that you guys can listen to it in your own time. And if you've got any questions about the 11 plus, then do get hold of me. And I think it'd be useful to take a look through some of these websites that have come up, in particular the Exam Papers Plus, which is one that we often recommend. We also have an affiliate link with them, so it works quite well for us. And do try and get a bit familiar with what the 11 plus is, just for when you're applying to clients. Thank you.